Welcome back to Normal Baseball. Today we are going to be reviewing every team's first half of the season by using one baseball term. I'm Alex Normal Dog, that's Lewis, and like I said, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We are going to be saying one baseball term to describe every single team's first half of the season. It is currently the All-Star break. This is being recorded before the All-Star game. But if you're watching this, the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby have already happened. We are gearing up for the second half of the season, and let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
So, how this is going to work is we're going to just go team by team, division by division, and say one baseball term about each team, and we are going to just briefly explain why we think that. We're not going to get too far in depth with anything, but we are going to explain and kind of see if we agree with each other, because I'm very interested to see where you went with this, what direction you went with it. I went a direction with it. You could have went a different direction than I did. So, we'll see. And we will start with the AL East.
Sure.
Are you ready to start with the AL East? So, leading the AL East this season so far is the Tampa Bay Rays at 57 wins and 34 losses. They are 3 games up at first place. If you remember, the Rays had that historical start to the season. And, Lewis, do you want to actually start?
Yeah, so for the Tampa Bay Rays, obviously they've been on they've been on this historic pace, and they've been on a pace like no other, honestly, and they have continued to impress everyone within baseball. I think the best way to describe their season is a 3-run home run when they're already up by a few runs, you know?
Okay.
Just they've been dominating, and I think that they will continue to dominate, and they have shown throughout this first half of the season that they are a dominant team.
Okay. All right. I had a little bit of a different approach. I said the Rays' season so far is tripped going to third on a triple, but still made it safely. So they hit a ball right in the triple spot. Say they're in San Fran, and they hit it into triple alley, and they tripped on their way to third, but they got up and still made it there safely.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that is because they come out of the gates really hot. Mm-hmm. They looked really good coming out of the gates, and recently they really haven't been doing as good at all. They're on a 6-game losing streak right now. Yes, they're still leading the division, but that division lead used to be a lot larger, and it could have been a lot larger if, they stayed on pace and kind of stayed steady. But they're only 3 games up on the Orioles, and, they tripped, but they still are in first place, so they made it safely. So that's kind of how I thought of it.
Okay. I like that. That's fun. 2 different directions, but both getting the point across that the Rays have been very good this season.
Good, but I have a different view. Good, but
yeah.
They've been stumbling recently, so they stumbled towards the end of the first half. So,
all right.
What do you got for the Baltimore Orioles? The Baltimore Orioles are 52 and 35, 3 games back of first place. They're 4 games up in the wild card. What do you have for the Baltimore Orioles? They've been a fun team this season. So
for the Baltimore Orioles, I went with a game-tying double late in the game at home, so they get the double celebration and the whole spray thing. The Orioles have been entertaining. They've been electric. They're young prospects. They've hit on all of them. They've done extremely well in drafting over the last few seasons, and now they're seeing that pay off at the big league level. Game-tying double at home.
Okay. I went with a grand slam in the bottom of the 9th, but they're still down by 1. Grand slam, bottom 9. It's electric. It would be booming. You're at home. You're booming, but you're still not in the lead, which is exactly what it's been in the AL East. Is, the Rays came up to this big jump. The Orioles have made this crazy comeback, but they still have some work to do. They're still down. They're 3 games back in the division, Yes, they have all these young prospects. They called up Jordan Westberg not too long ago. They called up Colton Cowser just a few days ago as well. And they have all these young guys that, like you said, have been in their minors, and it's kind of paying off now. And they still have more guys to come up. But they still have a little bit more work to do in terms of, that AL East lead. So, Grand Slam, bottom 9, but down by 1.
All right, I like that. I think we both got the same point across.
Or
again.
you said the same. I was gonna
I
say.
know. It's interesting. We're both so far 2 for 2 on seeing things sort of the same way.
I don't know about that.
Yes, they're good, but they're not winning yet.
I don't know. Maybe. I think our points have been a little bit different so far. Toronto Blue Jays. They're third in the AL East.
They are
49-40. They're 7 games back of first, and they are currently in a wild card spot. You know, they've had their ups and downs. Alek Manoah, obviously, was a Cy Young winner. Got sent down. He's back now. What do you have for the Toronto Blue Jays?
So I have a swinging bunt single, but on the throwing error, not only can they advance to second, but they end up on third base. Where, yes, they were struggling. It did not seem like they were going to be good. But, they've recently been picking it up. They've been looking a lot better, and I think that they are on the right path going into the second half of the baseball season.
Okay. I described them as a diving play in center field.
Ooh.
Because, obviously a lot of those times you're going to make that play.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be some times where, there's a couple bad ones in a row, and you're just going to be missing those plays.
Yeah.
So, it's more of it could go either way. Sometimes you can catch it, sometimes you don't. I don't know. Sometimes they're winning, sometimes they're losing. They've been very up and down. And yeah. Been a little bit disappointing, but I think that they're ready, like you said, for the second half of the season. I think they are ready.
Yep.
Toronto Blue Jays.
I like that. Toronto Blue Jays. Clapping them up.
What do you got for the Yankees?
So
Interesting
for the New
team.
York Yankees, who as of right now are 48-41, I went with a sac fly to the warning track in center field. That honestly, it's one of those ones on Wooded Dawn. It's out in 29 out of 30 ballparks. That's the way that I'm looking at the Yankee season. They were expected to be the front runner in the AL East going into the season after the dominant season and bringing back Aaron Judge and bringing in guys like Carlos Rodon,
who just made his first start yesterday.
Yeah, they did.
Or, a couple days ago now.
And I genuinely think that the Yankees are not who the Yankees were expected to be, and they're not showing the full power of what they can be. So I'm going to go with the sac fly to the warning track.
Fair enough. I had, for the Yankees, a deep drive to left field by Castellanos. And it'll be a home run, and that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Oh, I like
because they just have bad timing.
Yep.
They're the type of team to, originally what I had for this was a solo home run while down 15-0.
Mm-hmm.
It's just why it just doesn't matter. They don't have good timing when they're doing good.
Yeah.
Yes, they beat the Athletics sometimes, nice, but you're not beating when it matters. You're not winning when it matters. You're not getting hits when it matters. I want to say they're close to last in baseball in a lot of offensive categories right now. Mm-hmm. They do not hit for average. Let me pull this up really quick. They're 28th in average, 27th in on-base percentage, 23rd in OPS, 19th in runs. They just don't do it when it matters. So their bullpen could be really good, but deep drive to left field by Castellanos, it'll be a home run.
That's fair.
Rounding out the AL East, we have the Red Sox.
Yeah.
What did you put for the Red Sox?
So for the Red Sox, with how their season has been, I have put a bloop single, that single that lands in no man's land between second base, the right fielder, and center fielder. That's where I think they've been so far. They've been surprising when it really hasn't looked too promising for them.
Okay.
At least in my eyes. And Masataka Yoshida has been fantabulous. Whenever I get the opportunity to talk about him, count me in.
Okay.
He's been great.
Fair enough. For the Red Sox, I put the White Sox. Because they're just mid. That's the only way that's all I have. I just literally put the White Sox for the Red Sox.
Okay.
Not specifically this year's White Sox, just the White Sox. They're just mid.
That's fair.
They're mid.
The mid Sox.
They have some good moments. They have really bad moments. They're mid.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that's it for the AL East.
Yeah.
Do we want to swiftly move on to the AL Central?
Yeah, let's keep this party rocking.
AL Central. I'll go first this time.
Please do.
The Minnesota Twins. The Minnesota Twins are 45-44, just barely above 500. But they do lead the AL Central, miraculously.
Somehow.
Re-signed Carlos Correa in the offseason, but, it is. So, Twins, I have hosed out at second on a steal, but the ball was dropped on the tag. Like, they should not be in first. They should have been out on that throwdown to second.
Yeah.
But they are just miraculously, the ball was dropped and they were safe. They're still in first. You know, they're one game over 500. They should not be in first place right now, but they are. So similar to a steal to second, they should not have been safe at second, but they were because the ball was dropped.
Yeah.
Just circumstances that kind of like weren't them. That's why they're at first right now. Like, the Guardians are losing a lot.
Yep.
Like, stuff like that, you know?
So, what's funny is that for the Minnesota Twins, I put down that it's going to be a play at the plate, but the catcher drops the ball.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to sum up their season so far.
Yeah, they're just circumstances that weren't them.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yep, and that's what got them into the position that they are in right now.
All right. The Cleveland Guardians, they are second place in the AL Central by half a game. So they're very close to the Twins. They are 44-44. They are the definition of mid, technically.
Yep.
I have for them warning track power. They don't hit home runs. It's as simple as that. That's literally what I boil that down to. I think they're last in baseball in home runs, and they warning track power. They just can't seem to hit it out. And I think that's a good, that's not a bad thing if you're just hitting, but you do need some power in there. And they just really don't have enough of it. They're 44-44 again, so I'd warning track power for the Guardians.
For the Cleveland Guardians, I put down less impressive Luis Arias in terms of everyone's hitting singles, but, everyone's like, oh, Luis Arias is going to bat 400 while only hitting singles, but he's doing it in a lineup that it's okay for him to just get on base because he has a bunch of guys who can help bring him around in other ways. And they have guys that can hit the ball over the fence, whereas the Cleveland Guardians simply do not have that.
Fair enough. Okay. So, again, we said the same kind of thing there. They're not enough power.
Yeah.
And a worse Luis Arias. Tigers. Tigers, they're a team. Definitely in the AL Central. They are 38-49.
AL Central.
38-49, 6 games back, 10 games back of the wild card. No one really expects them to make the playoffs. That's why I have, for their season so far, a veteran send-off season. It is Miggy's last season. That's really all I have to say. It's Miggy's last season.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like, they don't really care too much if they win because they're just kind of watching Miggy,
Yeah, everyone's marveling in the first ballot Hall of Famer to be Miguel Cabrera. What
do you got?
So, with the Detroit Tigers, I went with a Javier Baez, diving play at short, but then he has a horrible throwing error. This team, at time and time again, shows some promise. I mean, they I'm pretty sure earlier in the season, they took a series from the Mets, but then it's they can't ball it together to just make it one fantastic play, one fantastic week, one fantastic series of games. They always find a way, even if they win the series, to come out as the losers.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't see too much good from the Tigers.
There are points. There are points where I enjoy watching the Tigers.
All right, fair
Spencer
enough.
Torkelson is fun. Javi Baez is fun. Michael Lorenzen, all-star.
Oh my God, fair enough.
My
All right, so next up we have the White Sox. The White Sox are currently 38-52, 7.5 games back of first place, miraculously again. They're 11.5 games back of the wild card. Obviously, have disappointed a lot this season. I have 2023 Gavin Lux. Would be good if they were actually there. Gavin Lux would have been good for the Dodgers if he didn't get injured.
Yes.
The White Sox have people there, but they're not there,
Right. The way that I looked at the Chicago White Sox this season is very simple. I look at it as if Bartolo Colon tried to come back and play baseball this year. It is something that looks fun on paper and could definitely be successful, but they are showing time and time again that they are not fun and they're not going to be successful.
Fair enough. Okay. Kansas City Royals. I kind of want to go quick on this one. They're 25-64. Who cares? I put losing a pitcher's first 15 starts of the season because that's what they did, and that's just what it feels like every game.
It's true.
It's they're just not helping their pitchers. They're not doing what they need to do. So, Royals.
Yeah, I went with...
Could have been a lot more fun this season.
Certainly.
But they just weren't.
I went with a strikeout looking with 2 runners in scoring position.
Fair enough. Yeah, just disappointment. Disappointed. All right. Is that it for the AL Central? Any final notes?
No.
Twins, if they win this division, they got
they won
beyond
that division,
lucky.
That's it. Yeah.
Beyond lucky. The AL West. AL West. We are starting with the Rangers. What do you got?
I went with...
Wait, before you say that, Rangers, they are 52-37. They are first in the division. They are up 3 games on the second place team. Go on.
All right. I went with a walk-off home run to advance into the World Series. Because right now, the Texas Rangers have been nothing short of spectacular. They are finally working, and everything is getting done in the way that it should be getting done for the Rangers, even without Jacob deGrom. I could not be happier to watch this team be successful.
I like it. I put the 2016 Royals All-Star voting because, they have 5 All-Star starters.
It's true.
And they have been a really fun team.
Yeah.
And they're looking to do big things, just like the 2016 Royals. Every 2015 Royals, year before.
Yeah.
They do have 5 All-Star starters, though, so that's kind of where I highlighted that because they've been very fun.
Which, very impressive.
Very impressive,
Very,
yes.
very impressive.
The Houston Astros. They've kind of had not the season they were expecting so far. They're 49-40 though, so they have gotten a little bit better recently. They're 3 games back. They're 7-3 in their last 10. What do you got for the Astros?
I went with a pop fly in foul territory where the catcher gets caught up on the netting and is unable to make the catch because of that. Because going into the season, the Astros, I think everyone was calling it a layup that they would at least win the AL West. And a lot of people were even taking them to win the World Series. And so far, they've gotten to the point of, yes, they look good, but I don't know how confident I feel in saying that they can overtake the Rangers. How confident I can say they can finish making that play.
Okay, I did a little different. I said World Series hangover coming to a close. Because, yes, it was definitely a World Series hangover. They definitely had a really bad start to the season. I agree. It doesn't seem like they can maybe take over the Rangers, but I think it's coming to a close. And I think the second half of the season, we will see the Astros jump out of the box. And I don't know if they'll necessarily soar into first place, but I think that they still might win this division this year. I think the World Series hangover, they're finally getting over it, and then they're ready.
Yeah.
They're ready to continue to just dominate the AL West. So
okay.
I saw it a little differently than you. I think that they're looking at an upward trajectory, not really a, they're going to drop the ball kind of thing. So World Series hangover coming to a close.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Fair enough. The Los Angeles Angels. They are 45-45, 7.5 games out of first. Oh, we're going a little out of order here. My fault. I already said it, so we're doing it.
Okay.
45-45. They are mid. They are 7.5 games out of first, 4.5 games out of the wild card. They looked good at one point. They've kind of slowed down. What'd you put for the Angels?
For the Angels, I simply put a Shohei Ohtani 3-for-3 game with 2 home runs, but they lose by 1 run. It's that simple. The Angels, although they do have the 2 generational talents in Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, they are just unable to fully push that entire organization into one winning organization. And it shows because they are currently sitting at 500 at 45-45.
Okay, fair enough. I put for the Angels, I did it a little differently too, because they were winning. They were winning at one point. They were almost in first place in the AL West. Well, not first, but they were very close to first place in the AL West at one point. I put, we don't got ice. They have so many players injured right now. And when these guys weren't injured, they were playing really good. Logan O'Hoppe, he's really, really good. He'll be back soon, hopefully. Zach Neto, how crazy was he? The rookie draft pick, how is he already in the majors? He was doing really, really good. Yeah. Brandon Drury was having a really good season for them, a utility guy, kind of playing everywhere. He was doing what he was doing. Gio Urshela was having a really good season. He's done for the year. Mike Trout is just got hand surgery. Mm-hmm. He's going to be out for a little while. And then looking at pitchers, you got Ben Joyce, who was throwing 100 and something miles an hour every pitch, it felt like. He's injured. And I don't know, just so many injuries have plagued this team. And when these guys were healthy, they were playing really well. They were playing really, really well. You know something's wrong when Mike Moustakas is now your starting first baseman.
It's true.
I don't know. Hopefully they can come back. They could find that ice and, be better. But we don't got ice.
Okay. I like that. That's fun.
Next up, we have the Seattle Mariners, who are 44 and 43. They're actually third in the division. We went a little out of order. That's my fault. They are 7 games back and 4 games back of the wild card. What do you got for the Mariners?
So for the Mariners, I simply went with a Eugenio Suarez double while they're down by 3 runs. Where if he were to have done that earlier in the game, maybe they wouldn't be down by so much. If guys like Eugenio Suarez and Julio Rodriguez and Ty France got hot and got going when the season started, I think that they would be in a completely different position in the AL West.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. So if they got a better start, they would have been in a better position right now.
Yeah, because they obviously have the entertainment factor locked. They're one of the most fun teams to watch. They have a great crowd. They have a great team. They're having some of the greatest pitching performances that we've seen out of guys that no one expected to come out of the gate and be Cy Young contenders. So
George Kirby is an all-star.
George Kirby's an all-star. Logan Gilbert has looked amazing.
Good.
That's where I stand on him.
Fair enough. I had them as James Draws What Happened. That's what I had them as. Maybe not a baseball term necessarily, but James Draws What Happened is what I had them as. Last season they ended the playoff drought. They were one of the most exciting teams. They were America's team at the end of the season. Everyone was rooting for them. And then this year they just come out and they're kind of one of the more boring teams in baseball so far.
Yeah.
They really haven't done much of note this season. So it's a very, they're losing a lot. And it's what happened. You guys were supposed to be the ones who, yes, we lost in the wild card to the Astros, the team that came ahead of us, or the DS, the ALDS, but we got next year to look forward to. This was a good start. This is where we want to be.
Yeah.
But what happened? Because they are currently in third place, 7 games out. They've had a horrible start to the season, like you said. What happened?
I wish I could tell you.
All right. The Oakland Athletics, they are, do I even need to say their record? They're 25 and 65. Not very fun. 40 games below 500. They are 27 and a half games out and 24 and a half games out of the wild card. What do you got for them, Lewis?
I have a 30-game losing streak. They disappoint time after time, game after game. And although they have not had a 30-game losing streak just yet this season, would not surprise me if they did.
Okay. I put 2018 Orioles because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And we know how bad the Orioles were in 2018. I think they lost 111 games or something like that.
Yeah, close to it.
But there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and look at them now. They're good. I'm not saying the Athletics in 5 years are going to be as like the Orioles are now, because they obviously haven't built up their farm system like that. But I think there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You see it. You don't know how far it is, but you see a light. Okay. And they're moving to Vegas, in the next couple of years. They're hopefully maybe a new owner, whatever. So, I don't know. I think there is a light at the end of the tunnel for the Athletics, and they look like the 2018 Orioles.
Okay, that's fun. I think that's it for our American League.
That is it for the American League. Clap it up for the American League.
Way to go, boys. Way to go.
Now for the National League, we bring it to the NL East. So I'll start these again. First in the NL East, in first place, we have the Atlanta Braves, who have the best record in baseball right now at 59 and 28. They're 9-1 in their last 10. It feels like they've been 9-1 in their last 10 for the last month and a half. They have Ronald Acuna Jr., who seems to be the very overwhelming pick for NL MVP. And they're sitting pretty right now, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I have the Braves down as a 5-tool player. They do everything.
Yeah.
And they do it all right. And they just Yeah, 5-tool player.
Okay.
Whether you're talking about a pitcher who can do everything, pitcher who throws every pitch and every pitch is nasty, or you're talking about the 5 tools. Speed, power, contact, all that. 5-tool player is the Atlanta Braves. That feels like the best way to put it. They nothing goes wrong. They just do everything right.
That's fair. For the Atlanta Braves, I put down their season so far has been just like sweeping the Mets. Something that we've come to almost expect out of the Braves, and something that honestly is not a surprise to anyone at this point. It's just impressive how well they do it. The Braves have been an amazing team. They're the only team in baseball that I think has less than 30 losses. They've been amazing. Nothing short of it.
Fair enough. The Marlins, Miami Marlins, they've surprised a lot of people. They're 51-39. They're 9.5 games back of first place. But that is, yes, mostly just because the Braves have the best record in baseball. They're in a wild card spot right now. They have Luis Arias, who's batting like .388 right now. He's just a lot of good for the Marlins. And that's why for my statement for them, I have the 2019 Nationals. Not in the sense of, they were one of the worst teams in the beginning of the season, but in the sense of they could shock a lot of people come playoff time.
Yeah.
They could get hot, and when they get hot, they can beat teams. And I think they could potentially shock a lot of people during playoff times, just like the 2019 Nationals did.
Yeah, I cannot blame you. For what I put for the Miami Marlins was a Luis Arias cycle. It's impressive, it's fun to watch, and there's no stopping him.
So just Luis Arias.
Just Luis Arias. No, like the Luis Arias cycle.
He's had 2 of them.
He's had 2?
Has he?
In his career, I think.
No, yeah, he's had 1. Sorry. I was thinking of 5-hit games. He's had like 4 or 5-hit games so far.
Yeah. It happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Phillies, they are 48-39. They're 11 games out, but they are in a wild card spot. They've been playing really well as of recent. What do you got on them?
For the Philadelphia Phillies, I went a little bit more basic. I just went with a Nick Castellanos double. Something that we've grown to expect out of the Phillies is competing, especially if you attribute last season as well. But it's not the only thing that gets the run across is just a double. All the chains have to be moving, and right now it's not. So Nick Castellanos is just kind of stranded at second because they're one of those teams that if you told me at the end of the season they would be on the outside looking in, I'd believe you.
Little confused on that one. For the Phillies, I had 3-25 and then 20-25. Like a player, hitting. I compare more to hitting than like overall team record. Like they go 3 for their first 25, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
But then they somehow go 20 for their next 25, and you're like on cloud 9, which is kind of what they're doing right now. Because the Phillies have completely turned it around. And yes, they're 11 games back, but that, again, because the Braves have the best record in baseball. But they are in a wild card spot. I believe they've won 13 straight road games. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 4 in a row. They're just looking really, really good right now. And I think the Phillies are on one of their hot streaks. It's a very streaky team, is what I'm trying to put across. 3-25, then 20-25. It's you're cold and then you're hot, and there's no in between. And that's what the Phillies are doing right now. And that's what they did all of last year. And they got hot in the playoffs and they made the World Series. But right now they're being the same streaky team they were last year.
Okay. I like that.
What do you got for the Mets? The Amazons. They're 42-46 with the highest payroll in MLB. They're 17.5 games out of first place. They are 6.5 games back of a wild card spot. For them, I was gonna go first, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I said Rusney Castillo. Rusney Castillo is a player who was signed by the Red Sox on a $70 million contract, and then only played like about 30 games in the big leagues. So you're paying these guys, but they're not doing what you expected them to do.
Yeah.
They have the highest payroll in MLB, and they are just not performing like it. Okay. How many games under 500 are they right now?
6.
4 games under 500. Granted, they have won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna say, they're just not performing like they're the highest payroll in baseball.
That's true.
By a lot, too.
So far, for the New York Mets this season, I went with the best way to describe their season is allowing a runner to reach on a drop third strike. It seems like this season they've dropped the ball so far. And yes, it can get better. The runner's only at first base in my metaphorical terminology, but there's no telling what can happen next. That's part of baseball. It's really not. It's not looking good for the Mets, but I really hope they turn it around because this team is supposed to be very promising.
Fair enough. A lot with the Mets is like there's three things in baseball: hitting, pitching, and bullpen, or lineup, rotation, and bullpen. And for the Mets, two of them are always in the game, and then the other one is bad. If their starting's bad, their relief and their lineup plays well, but they already gave up so many runs. If their starting and lineup is good, their bullpen blows it. And if their pitching is good, their lineup's gonna not score runs. It's always something's missing. It feels like, and obviously the last 6 games, it's been a lot different. They've been playing really good the last 6 games. But for now, Bruce Castillo. Not knowing what you think.
Agreed.
The Washington Nationals. They are 34-54, obviously not having a great year. They're 25 games back of first place, and they're 14.5 games out of wild card, which, now that I think about it, these numbers are going to change because they're still tonight and tomorrow. Today's Saturday, so they have today and Sunday. Standings are probably going to change a little bit, but that's fine. I had, for the Washington Nationals, hits for average, but it's the whole team, and that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
They are 9th in batting average. But no one hits for power.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't work at the end of the day. Not only that, but their pitching isn't great either. So
I agree.
You could hit singles all you want, but unless you hit 4 singles in a row or 3 singles in a row, you ain't scoring.
Yeah.
So just not enough power.
Okay.
Whole team can't hit for average.
For the Nationals, I went with a little bit more of a fan perspective on this one, and I took getting the hot dog combo meal with the hot dog and the beer, and both kind of suck. You know, the beer's lukewarm and the hot dog is kind of cold. So that's where I stand on the Nationals. They've been just disappointing, but I don't think that anyone expected them to be a contender this season.
Okay, fair. That it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So shall we move on to the NL Central?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So the AL Central starts off with the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds are 49-40. They are 1 game up in the Central. And, the Cincinnati Reds, what'd you have?
I attribute this to, I believe, one of our most famous videos on our TikTok page where Alex decided to drill me in the head with a blitz ball. And I think that's the perfect way to describe the Reds season. They have been absolutely perfect in their aim. They did a rebuild the right way, and it's paying off. It's amazing.
What?
I'm attributing this to when you hit me in the head with a blitz ball.
Yeah, but in that video I was blindfolded.
Yeah.
And I wasn't aiming for your head.
I don't know.
So that's actually horrible aim, actually.
I don't know about that.
I see what you're saying. Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, their drafting and aim has been Johnny on the spot. They've been amazing, and I think that this is only the beginning of the Big Red Machine, as I said previously.
Okay, I just had America's team, simply.
Yeah.
Simply put, America's team. That's the best way
way
to describe them. They are just, everyone's rooting for them. I know a Mets fan who just said, I'm not rooting for the Mets anymore, I'm a Reds fan. Just because the Reds have been so much fun. You know, obviously you got all these young guys on this team. They're doing successfully what the Royals wanted to do. Just have all these young guys that you drafted, call them all up, and have them all be amazing for you. That's exactly what the Royals wanted to do, but the Reds are doing it better. The Reds, you know, TJ Friedl has been amazing. Matt McClain has been amazing. Ellie De La Cruz has been beyond amazing, to be honest. Spencer Steer's been amazing. Friggin' everyone's been amazing.
Everyone.
And then you have Joey Votto who came back. Jake Fraley, who you traded for.
Joey Votto has been the hippest old baseball guy in the game. It's so entertaining. If you ever get the chance, go and watch Joey Votto interviews from this season. They're amazing.
Yeah. That's all I have for the Reds. America's team.
Yeah.
Everyone's rooting for him.
Yeah.
Everyone is rooting for him. Next up, we have the Chicago Cubs, who are 7 games out of first place, being 41-46. And what do you got for the Cubs?
It's the Cubs?
Yeah.
for the Chicago Cubs, I simply have no. I think that this might be the best way to describe it. A ground rule double because the ball got stuck in the ivy.
Okay.
You know, the team has been okay. I think that this is kind of where everyone saw them to be going into this season, but I'm having fun with it.
Okay. I had them as Gleyber Torres at shortstop. They're trying to be something they're not. They're not a contending team.
Yeah.
They are not one of the better teams in baseball. But they're pretending. They're trying.
Yeah.
And I just don't like it. I don't like the Cubs. Not this season. I don't like them.
Okay.
I like the guys on the Cubs. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they are one of the contender teams, and I think they're trying to be something they're not, which is similar to what Gleyber Torres did when he played shortstop. Just he was trying his hardest, but it just didn't work.
Did you just skip the Brewers?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I did skip the Brewers.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go back to them.
Okay.
Brewers. We'll go to the Brewers right now then. The Milwaukee Brewers are in second place in the Central. This is how forgettable they are. 48 and 41. They're one game back. Christian Yelich has been playing really good. That's all I have to say about them. I put for the Brewers player with no batting gloves, but it's not Ted Williams or anything. That's just what they remind me of. Like one of those I'm not wearing batting gloves kind of guy. Like the old-timey guys.
Yeah.
But they're not like Ted Williams. They're not going to be just hitting homers all day,
I agree.
They're just kind of there.
Okay. I
forgot about them. That's what really, that's the most I have to say about them. I actually forgot they existed. It's my fault.
The way that I went out and saw the Milwaukee Brewers is I took them as Christian Yelich's 2020 season, where he played, they're playing every game, but all the stats and everything are very forgettable, very much stuff that you want to look past and hope that it can get better in the future.
Yeah, which is crazy to say because they are only one game out. It's not like they're...
Shout out the NL Central.
It's not like they're, 10 games back.
Yeah.
They're only one game back. So let's not act like they aren't in the game. Let's not act like they're far back. The Pittsburgh Pirates, they are fourth place in the NL Central. They are 40 and 48. What do you got for the Pirates?
All right. For the Pirates, I went with they blew a 9-run lead that they had after the second inning. All they had to do was play some consistent baseball, play some good, solid baseball, and prevent runs from getting across the plate. And I think they failed at that. They were super exciting. They were fun to watch. They still are fun to watch and super exciting. But that full head of steam that they had where they looked to be the best team in baseball is not there anymore.
Okay. I put June Kyle Schwarber. Because they got really, really hot. Not necessarily in the month of June, but they got really, really hot in the first month and a half of the season. Mm-hmm. And then they just started hitting 120, but with no power and no excitement, Yeah. That's kind of how I saw them. They were hitting 180, but they had 20 home runs in the month. And it was insane and so exciting. But now they're just hitting 180, and they're not hitting home runs. That's kind of how I see it.
Okay.
That moves us to your World Series winner, actually. Pick to win the World Series, the St. Louis Cardinals. What looks like maybe one of the worst picks of all time. They are 36 and 52. They are 12 and a half games back of first place and the wild card. They've had maybe moments where you thought this is going to be the turnaround for them, and they just have not turned around. So, the St. Louis Cardinals, what do you got?
I had them pretty cut and dry. Yes, they are a big failure. I had them as they're the team that's trying to get that they got a perfect game thrown against them. They just cannot find their footing. They cannot string it together. They cannot do it right. And I think it's upsetting to see.
Okay. I had for them. Hold on, I have to verify that this is okay. Because I have a little thing.
You have a little thing.
Okay, yeah, no, this is fine.
Okay.
Is it fine?
I don't know. Well, how would you say it first?
Okay. I have them as 2020 Shohei Ohtani. In the sense of they'll hit, but they ain't pitching.
That's fair.
Yes, Shohei Ohtani's numbers were terrible in 2020. Pitching and hitting, But I saw this more of just pitching in general. Like Shohei Ohtani didn't pitch in 2020, but he did hit. Just general sense of they're hitting, but they're not pitching.
Right.
Because their lineup's been good. You know, they're 7th in OPS in baseball. Like, they can hit, but then they're pitching. Both their starting and relievers are 25th in ERA in baseball. They don't get it done on the pitching side. They ain't pitching, but they're hitting.
Okay.
So I think that works.
Yeah, that's fair. That's accurate. Again, we both went the same direction with the Cardinals of they simply suck.
They simply suck. There's no other way to put it.
Yep.
Now, if we want to round this out and move on to the NL West, the final division, where we're getting to the final division. Yeah. We start off with the first place team in the NL West, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Mm-hmm. What did you put for the Arizona Diamondbacks?
I simply put, this is like Corbin Carroll starting in the All-Star game. Something that we did expect at some point, the Diamondbacks to be competing, but did not expect it this early. Could not be happier for the Diamondbacks.
I like that. We expected it to happen, but maybe not this year.
Yeah.
I like it. I put Ichiro Suzuki.
Okay. How so?
Just in the sense of, he won Rookie of the Year in 2001, and he won MVP in the same year. And it's like we expected them to be this young team and exciting and even maybe have the Rookie of the Year in Corbin Carroll. But they've gone above expectations. And I'm not saying Corbin Carroll's going to win an MVP as well, but I'm just saying they've gone well above expectations, and they have this young rookie, they have a lot of young guys, and they've just exceeded their expectations, much like Ichiro Suzuki did in his rookie season.
Okay.
The second place team in the NL West is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are only half a game back, so maybe by the time this comes out in the next couple days, they might take first place. But right now, they are half a game back. I have the Dodgers as the defense in a pickle, like a rundown in between like third and home. They're trying to catch the Diamondbacks.
Yeah. And
they have the Diamondbacks in a pickle. And at points, they are getting really close to tagging them out. And at points, they're not very close to tagging them out. Mm-hmm. So right now, they are very close to tagging the Diamondbacks out. So I have them as the defense in a rundown.
Okay. I took, the way that I looked at the Dodgers season so far is they're like the Peacock game of the week, where you don't really need to watch them to know what's probably going to go on with the Dodgers. You're going to see a good pitching outing from their starter and probably at least 4 or 5 runs come across the plate. It's just a matter of, will there be more hits? Will their pitching not fold at the end? You don't need to watch them to know the Dodgers are good.
Fair enough. Swiftly moving on, we have the San Francisco Giants, who are 3.5 games back of first place. They are 47-41, and they are 1.5 games back of the wild card spot. Not too long ago, they were on a double-digit win streak. Yeah. And that's why for the Giants, I put going to a game and your team loses, but you still had fun. Like, you're going to a Giants game, they're going to have some fun, but they might not win. They might win, they might not. It's like you go and you're like, I don't really care if we win this game. They didn't expect to win the division this year.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they really expected to make the playoffs this year. But they're having fun. I'd say if I was a Giants fan, I'm going to the ballpark and I'm saying, we might win, might not, but I'm okay with whatever. I just want to go to the ballpark. I want to watch some baseball.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
What'd you have for the Giants?
For the Giants, I simply went with missing out on 2 generational talents to bring into your organization. They have been...
That's not even a baseball term. That's just what happened.
It is. And I think that's the perfect way to describe their season. They look very, very promising. They go on these runs, these streaks, where it looks like something can happen, and it happened twice with Aaron Judge and also with Carlos Correa, and it's just as simple as they missed it. And I think that they're missing this right now. They're missing what makes the Giants such a great organization.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. The San Diego Padres are 4th place in the NL West. They've had a very disappointing season. They are 41-47, 9.5 games out of first, 7.5 games out of the wild card. What'd you have for the Padres?
For the Padres, I had them down as essentially seeing your favorite player bat sub 200 for an entire season. It's disappointing. you're rooting for them so hard, but they're just not able to do it. You can tell that it's not there right now, and that's what it feels like for the Padres. I think it's very fair to say that 90% of baseball fans will tell you that the Padres are fun, the Padres are exciting, and I want to watch the Padres. But there's nothing to watch when you're sub 500 and you have all this talent on your roster.
Yeah, fair enough. What was the statement?
The statement was seeing your favorite player bat sub 200 for an entire season.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. It's like if your favorite player is Kyle Schwarber, pretty much.
Essentially.
For the Padres, I had getting injured while stretching a single into a double. It's like, before the season, they hit it. They had their single. And they were spending money. They were getting their free agents. Yes, they missed out on a couple guys that they wanted to maybe bring in, but they got greedy. They're trying to go to second, and it just didn't work out for them. They got shown. They got shown that they were still missing some stuff, and now they're paying the price. I'd say they're pretty much injured right now.
Yeah. I agree.
What?
Hey.
Last one. Milo's had enough over here. Last one is the Colorado Rockies. We could do this one quick.
Yep.
They're 34-55, 17 games back, 15 games out of the wild card. They're the bench guy who barely plays, so you just kind of forget he's on the team. Mm-hmm. I just kind of forget about the Rockies sometimes. I've kind of forgot they exist. That's kind of my view on them.
All right. I went for the Colorado Rockies. I went with it's a swing and miss while the ball's sitting on a tee.
Foul.
There's no better way to put it. They're just not good. They don't look good. They're not entertaining, and it's kind of embarrassing because at one point they were the top dogs in the NL West, and it looked like they were going to be that for the next 15 years. And they sold everything, and things went wrong. They traded away guys, and now they're stuck at square one.
Fair enough.
You got to work on your mechanics again to hit the ball.
Yeah. Got to hit off the tee. But you got to make contact if it's off the tee.
Yeah, you better.
Because the ball's not moving. All right. Well, that should do it. Clap it up. We thank you guys for watching. We'll be back better than ever in the second half of the season. Expect a lot. And we look forward to seeing you guys. Hopefully you guys had a fun All-Star break. You watched the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby. And hopefully your team does better or just as good in the second half as they did in the first half.
Yeah, let's go baseball.
Let's go baseball.
Woo!
And we will see you guys when games start again.
Yeah.
When games start again. A peace. Really, Milo?